Good Monday morning, boys and girls. It is time for, and I forgot to write, geography. This is geography number 9. All right. Well, hopefully this will be the last video before we come back and we're sitting in classroom watching videos, doing experiments, stuff like that. I'm excited about having you boys and girls back. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with the ocean zones. So I want you to pull out this page right here. Now, we discovered that we discussed that there were 4 oceans, the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Arctic, and the Indian Ocean, okay? Now, there's different zones in the ocean because the ocean gets deeper and deeper. Have you ever noticed that when you go? Have you ever gone to the ocean? You can start walking and the water goes up, 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 and eventually it's super deep, right? So we're going to study about that. Now, we got some stuff on the front of this page that we're going to fill out, okay? So right here, do you see where it says the arrow, where the arrow is right here? This is called what we call the Continental Shelf. This is the shelf, okay? So let's write Continental Shelf on that line. And this time we can write in print. We don't have to write in cursive on this because since it's kind of like a chart. So it's going to be the Continental, I think I spelled that right, Shelf. So write that on that line there, okay? So right here on this line, or you can write it right underneath the Continental Shelf, write it right underneath there, right there, okay? Now, this is the part of the ocean that you can see there that 90% of all the marine life live here. So if you're talking about the fish and most of the animals that live in the ocean live in that zone. Now notice, see how that we've drawn a line across. See, so this is right here is the zone that most of them live in. They don't go much deeper, okay? Most of them stay in this area. Now, right here, we're also going to write this word, okay? So right here, we're going to write photic. This is your next word. Photic. Now make sure you write it small enough so it fits there and do it nicely so we can read it. Now, the depth of the water in a lake or ocean that is exposed to sufficient sunlight for photosynthesis. So that means it's deep enough for the sunlight to penetrate all the way from the top of the water down to the bottom area. So the sunlight, when the sun is shining up here, it shines down, the sunlight reaches all the way down to right here, the Continental Shelf. So this is where like seaweed and all those kind of things live, okay? So, it goes down to about 650 feet, as you can see here. Now, look down here when we're here, look at this one, the photic zone right here. You see how where the coral is and everything? So usually if you're in the beach, you're like playing right in this area. But then as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, down here, now this doesn't just extend, it's not super short. This goes way out for miles and miles and miles, okay? So it takes time for the ocean to get deeper and deeper, so we'll see that. But it's giving you an example of how the ocean gets deeper. So notice how bright it is right here, and look at all this stuff here. Now, what is photosynthesis? So we're gonna study what photosynthesis is when we get into plants and everything, but you know how the trees and the plants and the bushes, they take in sunlight, they do what it needs to do, and then they put off oxygen and all that kind of stuff as well. They take in carbon dioxide, and the plants produce oxygen for us. Well, look down here. It says photosynthesis. Look down here what photosynthesis is. Photosynthesis is a process used by plants and other organisms to convert the light energy captured by the sun into chemical energy that can be used to fuel organisms' activities. So basically, plants take the sunlight, and it's the sunlight that helps them to grow, helps them to produce food, helps them produce oxygen, helps them to be able to do what they need to do, right? So they're basically solar power. See, God created solar power before man even thought about solar power. So you have plants and stuff like seaweed and coral that live in this area, in the photic zone, and they're getting the sunlight. Even though there's water, the sunlight filters through the water. They absorb the sunlight. It creates energy, and they're able to grow. They're able to produce stuff. Does that make sense? So you got to remember how important that is. Now let's go to the next zone. Let's go to the next zone. Now we're going to this zone. The zone of, and let's write this, the bathyal. So the next one in the next box, B-A-T-H-Y-A-L, bathyal, okay? The zone of the Pelagic Zone, or the part of the Pelagic Zone that extends from the depth of 650 feet to 13,000 feet. Okay, that's almost 3 miles. All right, feet below the ocean's surface. Now notice what lives there. You have the squid, large whales, octopus, sponges, sea stars, and notice what there's not. There's no what? No plants. Why do you think there are no plants this deep? Right? Do you think light gets into this zone? It probably doesn't. Let's look here. Look right here where it gets lower and lower. Look how the light is diminishing, okay? And if you look on the back, you'll see right here it's even clearer. Look, see in this area there's very, very little light. Okay? Now, in order for plants to grow, what do they have to have? They have to have light. And if there's no light, then there are not going to be any plants. All right? Now, let's go to the next one. It's called the abyssal. So in this box right here, bathyal, you're going to write right here, and abyssal, you're going to write right here. ABYSSAL. Now, notice it says at depth of this one goes from 13,000 feet to 20,000 feet. Let's see, a mile is 5,280 feet. So this is almost 4 miles deep into the ocean. We're going to go look on the back of the page in a minute and figure out how deep that really is. This zone remains in perpetual darkness and never receives any daylight. So there's a little bit of sun that seeps through here, right? Just a little bit, but not enough for plants to actually be able to grow and flourish, right? And to grow and to do what they need to do. So basically, they just don't grow there. They stay up in the area where there is sunlight. But here, there's no light at all. You remember Finding Nemo when he's going after the mask? And he goes deeper and deeper, gets darker and darker and darker and darker. And remember, he finds that anglerfish, because notice what lives here, the anglerfish and the giant squid. Now also, the deeper you go, we'll learn this also, there's more pressure. And we'll watch some videos about that when you come back. When you come back, we're going to go kind of back to the beginning of some stuff and just watch some videos to reinforce all these things that we've been learning over these past couple of weeks. But remember when Nemo, or not Nemo, who's Nemo's dad? Nemo's dad, whatever his name is, okay? When Nemo's dad was trying to find Nemo, he and Dory just keep swimming, right? Went all the way down deep, and all of a sudden they saw this light. Ooh, the light. Now remember, it was pitch black. They saw nothing. And that's how it is. Sorry. Perpetual means it never stops. It's always dark. It never gets light down there. The sun cannot reach that far. That's pretty incredible. All right? It remains in darkness forever. It never receives light. Okay? Now that's where the anglerfish and the giant squid, right? They have found sperm whales. That's a kind of whale. And they found these sperm whales that had these scars from giant squids. And some of the suction cups were about like this big around. And we'll see some videos about that. I mean, can you imagine how big the giant squid would have to be for one of the suction cups on one of its arms that attaches to the sperm whale to be that big? Now, what happens is some of these fish in this area, since there's a lot more fish up here, when it gets dark, they'll actually swim up to some of these areas to be able to eat and stuff like that. And then when it starts getting daylight, they swim back. But remember, the pressure is so strong down here. There's so much pressure. We're going to learn about that. Because the closer you get down to the bottom, the stronger the pressure gets. Have you ever been in a swimming pool and you dive down deep and all of a sudden you feel kind of on your head, your ears start popping, right? And you feel the pressure? Well, imagine that's just going 6 or 7 feet down. Imagine going 2 miles down, how much pressure there is, right? So some of these fish, so they can't come all the way to the top because of how their body is situated with the pressure. But they do come up a little ways to be able to eat some of the animals in this area. So like the giant squid will actually come up into this area when it's dark to hunt for whales. But then once it starts getting light, it'll go back down to the depths where there's no light. Okay? So then the last one is called the hadal. So let's go right down here. Look at that trench way down there. See, that's down here at the Hadal. Well, actually, this doesn't even get to the deepest. This right here, the bottom of this picture is just right here. It goes even deeper than this. We'll see that on this side over here. So right here, I want you to write Hadal, H-A-D-A-L. Hadal. All right. Now, the deepest trenches in the ocean, this zone is found from a depth of around 20,000 feet to the bottom of the ocean. 20,000 feet. That's more than 4 miles. That's crazy, right? Now, look at here. Ecologists classify ocean habitats and the organisms on the basis of light levels, depth, and the bottom type, okay? So, look down here. Right here, we're going to get here, right here, I want you to write Twilight, okay? On this little line right here. See that little line? Right there, and if it extends further, that's okay. But we're gonna write Twilight. Okay? Twilight means, you know how sometimes the sun is going down and it's down, you can't see the sun, but it's still light outside. It's kind of like, kind of light, kind of dark. Well, that is a zone that's twilight. It's kind of light and dark whenever the sun's out. Now, down here, what do you think we're going to write here? What kind of light comes here? There's no light. So on this little line right here, on this line, I want you to write no light. Okay, light cannot get there at all. Now, let's look on the back of our page. Okay? So, down to 1,000. Now, they're dealing with about 1,000 meters is about, there's about 3.3 feet for every meter, okay? And so, from the top of the ocean down to about 3,300 feet, there's light, okay? From 3,000 feet on down to 4,000 feet, you're getting to the part where there's no light. Then you have 13,000 feet. We're starting into what is also called the abyss. Now, so notice what it says. When you get down to kind of the ocean basin, this is kind of the bottom of the ocean. Most of the ocean is about this deep, okay? Now, this is where, like, the Titanic, remember how the Titanic crashed? We did a picture on the Titanic. When it crashed, it hit to the bottom of the ocean. This is about where it is on the bottom of parts of the ocean. Because there's, you know how some of the ocean has higher and lower, but the base mainly is about here. Now, look, Mount Everest, which is the highest mountain on the earth, if it were to be put in the ocean, look how far under the water it would be. I mean, the ocean is so deep. And wait until you see a video. I'm going to show you a video when we get back to show exactly how deep the ocean is. It's incredible. We know, from what I understand, scientists know more about the moon than they do about the bottom of the ocean. The ocean is so undiscovered because it's so hard to get in there because it's so deep and it's so dark. Like if they go down there, they have a little bitty submarine and the windows in the submarine are about this thick because the pressure down there is so strong. If there's even a little crack in the window, the whole submarine would just go crunch into a little ball. The pressure is so strong that way. It's pretty incredible. But we're going to learn about that. But look how Mount Everest would be under the water. And then when you get down here, this is what we call the trenches. And we'll study more about what's in the trenches. And then up now, the very bottom of the trench, from what they know right now, is about 36,000 feet deep. So the Hadal goes from 20,000 feet all the way down to about 36,000 feet. Now, if a mile is 5,280 or 5,280 feet is 1 mile, this is close. 5 times 6 is 30. This is almost 6. Let's say it's about 6 miles, almost 6 miles underground, 6.9 miles deep. That's higher than airplanes fly, or about what airplanes fly. So you ever been in an airplane or seen an airplane? It's so high. The airplane that high off the ground, it could go that deep in the ocean as well. That's how deep this ocean is. So now look at this. This is pretty amazing. At 40 meters, you know, this is the maximum depth where someone can swim. So if you go scuba diving or whatever, and you like, You sound like Darth Vader. You know, you got the tanks on your back and you dive down in, you know, where the sharks are. That's how deep you can go. Now look at the Eiffel Tower. When you get right here, the Eiffel Tower is already underwater. When you get on down, here's where the whales go. Now look how it's bright. Now notice the sunlight can reach down to about right here. And right here it starts stopping, okay? So about 1,000 meters, that's as deep as the sunlight goes, is 1,000 meters. It gets to right here. Now if you get down to 1,828 meters, look, the Grand Canyon is now completely underwater. All right? You get on down further, this is where the Titanic is. This is the average depth of the ocean. So the ocean, most places in the ocean are about this deep. But then you can go on down. This right here is where James Cameron, he got there in 2012. It's one of the deepest dives from a submarine. And we will watch a video about that, okay? Then when you get on down here, it says there's one guy that reached here. And then down here is the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point. So notice, the Eiffel Tower, how tall it is, could only fit there. Mount Everest, mountains usually are about this. If they were this high, they would already be underwater. Now, where is the Mariana Trench? Okay, now, here is Australia. Here's South America, North America. So it's in the Pacific Ocean. Right here is where the Mariana Trench is. You can look at it. So over here, you have like Japan right here. Here's Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, and all the islands. Right there is the Mariana Trench. That's this point right here. That's this, the Mariana Trench right here is the deepest part of the ocean. All right, so when we get back though, we're gonna watch quite a few videos about this because there's some awesome videos. Also, we're gonna learn about some animals that are there. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time on the ocean, dealing with animals in the ocean, currents in the ocean, different things about the ocean. Then we're gonna go back to the land. We're gonna start studying in depth all the different continents. So that's what we're gonna be doing this year for geography. So the ocean is super deep. All right, get that done, and we'll see you in class next week. Woohoo! All right, boys and girls, have a great one. Bye.